It's like 2 in the morning and we're doing this. You people requested. I'm always available, unlike Biden. Think Biden would do an interview at 2 in the morning? He would do one at 9 in the morning.
Yes. President Trump doing an interview at press conference aboard Air Force One. Very late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, the 2 a.m. hour. There he is doing a press conference aboard the big airplane, the presidential aircraft, Air Force One, mocking Joe Biden. Hey, Joe Biden, he can't even do this at 9 a.m. You think he's going to be doing this at 2 a.m.? I think not. The man is, he appears to be up about 24 hours a day. When does he sleep? Madre mia. Well, a very good Tuesday to you and welcome back. We continue to be at 888-630-9625. I tell you, this morning I was doing a handwritten note on a piece of printer paper, and I've got, first, of course, it's tax day. It's April 15th. It's the IRS cometh, and they want everything you have. And they have a lot of guns, I mentioned yesterday my brother, I've got a brother and sister-in-law. My sister-in-law has gone back home to Chicago, but my brother is still here on business. We went out last night downtown. I was down by Newsmax doing my Newsmax show, and then we went out to an establishment afterward where I had 2 beers, and my brother, he had some kind of a whiskey drink and then a beer to follow that. What was that whiskey? It was something fancy, a pretty fancy drink, nice stuff. And we were noticing that it looked like my brother from Chicago said, "What are all these people doing here? They all look like they're together. Must be a corporate event of some kind." I gave him one look and I said, I don't think they're a corporate event. I think that they're probably Department of Justice. We're very close to where the Department of Justice is at this establishment. It's in an old bank, a 1920s bank, and kind of a cool place, cool looking anyway. And all these people, and they're hovering and they're bumping into us at the bar, and they're making all kinds of noise. And nice lady, long blonde hair, in a gray suit, because everybody had a gray suit on. And I looked, no lapel pins of any kind, no identifiers. And began to talk to this nice lady for just a moment, and discovered, and I asked, I think my second question was, you guys, now I did ask, I knew that I assumed that they were Department of Justice, and before I got there, I said, so you're a large group here? Yes, she said she's waiting for a very complex drink that the bartender was making. Another reason, just to order a beer. But she was standing there waiting for a very complex drink, and it was taking a long time. And I said, so you guys a law firm? I knew they weren't a law firm. They didn't have law firm. We had a law firm. And she said, well, no, but close. And I said, so you're, I told her, I said to my brother, you look like you're Department of Justice. And she said, well, close. I said, so you're FBI, and you just don't want to say it out loud. And she said, yeah, we're FBI. There are about 40, I'm guessing, maybe only 30, but maybe 40 people altogether. And turns out they were all FBI people. And nice woman. She told us where she's from and stuff. I don't want to give away too much information on her, get her in trouble, but she was very nice. And she said, you know, so they're FBI. And I said, well, it's kind of a tough place to be these days, huh? They've been FBI, a tough row to hoe lately. A lot of stuff going on, not so good. And she was like, yeah, where's my drink? And and very nice, but a very nice conversation with my brother visiting from America. And she said, what do you guys do? And I said, well, I'm kind of in, conservative media. I do a conservative radio talk show, and I do a conservative television show. And she actually said, well, you got a lot of friends here. She said. And I said, that's very nice. And she looked at my brother. I said, my brother, he's from America. Because we're in Washington, D.C. now. That's not, it's surrounded by the United States, but we're not a state. We're a federal district, So the United States of America. But very nice. And all these FBI people. And she did make a comment, and again, I don't want to get her in trouble for being honest or anything, at the FBI. But she's like, yeah, we're kind of suggested we're we're slugging our way through. You know, we got a lot to be concerned about. And I said conservative radio, conservative television. She's like, well, you know, you got friends here. You got a lot of popularity here. A very nice stop for a beverage in Washington D.C. and not a terribly unusual Washington moment, but it was kind of a fun one. But enough about me. I didn't come in to talk about that. It is April 15th. It is tax day. The tax man cometh. I've got one of my family members got a hold of me yesterday and said, guess what? I'm getting scrawed again by the tax man. And maybe you're a nice guy. Maybe you're a nice guy. You got, so I've got, because it's tax day and this going on in millions of households across America. My best girl and I were talking about it this morning. Millions of households across America today are dealing with tax day, and the tax man cometh, and the big surprise bill that you weren't expecting not so long ago, and the IRS, because they got to pay for transgender surgery for Guatemalans and for a transgender play in Ireland, because the Democrats, they know how to spend our money, don't they? They're quite amazing. But it's the tax day and all that implies. So we have that. But we've got a great deal of stuff going on, and it mostly has to do with the Democrats and violence and murder and arson and firebombing and, the usual Democrat stuff, killing, but worshiping their killers. An amazing bunch, these people. You see a guy in New Mexico, I told you about the stories. The Republican state headquarters, the Republican Party headquarters in New Mexico was firebombed quite recently. The news media wasn't too concerned about that like they are with the Democrat governor in Pennsylvania being firebombed. So what the news media is corruptly doing there is they're leaving out the important details about the left-wing tendencies, the online declarations of being anti-capitalist, for example, like Senator Bernie Sanders, whose volunteer shot Congressman Steve Scalise when he tried to wipe out the entire Republican baseball team on that baseball field. The Democrats, when it happens to them, somebody firebombed a Democrat the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania. Now it's a big story. But when they're firebombing, and they made Molotov cocktails normal again, didn't they, the Democrat Party, attacking Tesla dealerships and so on. But now they've arrested a guy in New Mexico who firebombed, allegedly, the Republican Party state headquarters in New Mexico, firebombed by the Democrat Party. And now they've arrested this guy who wears black lipstick. He's a guy, and he might be a tranny, or he's just a guy that wears black lipstick when he goes out because of his many mental issues related to gender and normalcy and all of that. And he also firebombed Teslas because the Democrat Party, I was sharing with you yesterday the bumper stickers and magnets, big magnets that the Democrats are selling, saying, even my dog hates Elon Musk. See, they hate Elon Musk, but you know who they love? Luigi Mangione. They want to date Luigi Mangione. They want to go on vacation to the islands with Luigi Mangione. They want, thong bikini outfits they with Luigi Mangione. They also love Kilmer Abrego Garcia. In fact, on CNN, they just call him Garcia for short now, like he's an old family friend who shows up at the dinner table and doesn't shoot anybody. But it turns out that everything they do is demented, sick, and leans toward violence. The gang member, the MS-13 criminal gang member, illegal alien, Kilmer Abrego Garcia, who was deported thanks to the Trump administration, the Democrats are throwing themselves in front of subway trains, trying to make sure that he's brought back to the United States and let loose in your daughter's junior high school. But the Democrats, with their love of Luigi Mangione, their love of Kilmer Abrego Garcia, we also yesterday had the conviction in the state of Maryland of another Democrat Party hero, a champion of the Democrats, Victor Martinez Hernandez, who, of course, raped and murdered a mother of five named Rachel Morin while she was out for exercise, a walk in Maryland in her nice suburban neighborhood, tree-lined neighborhood. And here comes the illegal alien gang member. Surprise, surprise. Hey, where's this gang member from? Oh, guess what? He's from El Salvador. Isn't that amazing? Victor Martinez Hernandez. He was convicted in 46 minutes. The jury, they convened for 46 minutes, and they kept, what is the, Michael, is like a Mel Brooks movie or something, is, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty as hell. And this guy, guilty as hell, couldn't be more guilty. First-degree murder, first-degree rape. And of course, what's the problem? He's from El Salvador. He had been deported 3 times and then came back into the country illegally under Joe Biden because the Joe Bidens opened up the border so that they could wave in millions and millions of illegal aliens. And in particular, they love gang members, and they love Kilmer Abrego Garcia. They're responsible for Victor Martinez Hernandez being here. And had he not been here from El Salvador illegally for the 4th time, then Rachel Morin, mother of 5, would still be alive. Her 5 children would still have a mother. Her husband would still have a wife. There would have been no funeral, but the Democrat Party and Joe Biden and the Biden Democrats are entirely responsible for these activities. Now we have in Pennsylvania an individual named Cody Balmer. Cody Balmer. It's like Palmer, but with a B. Cody Balmer. And he is the guy that apparently he's an anti-capitalist, left-wing radical, so far left that he hated Joe Biden. He obviously hated Donald Trump and said so online. And then he wanted Kanye West to be president of the United States. Anti-capitalist, got to destroy capitalism because he's a hardcore lefty, Cody Balmer. And he's the one that was captured at the governor's residence in Pennsylvania, having firebombed the place with 2 Molotov cocktails after breaking in using apparently reportedly a sledgehammer. We got, there's a song, Sledgehammer. We should make that our theme music of the day. See, I got Sledgehammer. Pretty amazing stuff. So we got that, but the Democrats, you should judge them by the people that they make their heroes. I'd say, Ronald Reagan is a hero and a personal hero of mine. For them, it's Luigi Mangione, who is a murderer. Just amazing. So the Democrats' top 4 heroes in America. This is Peachy Keenan on Twitter. I saw this morning, sharing it with my friends at the Right Squad at Newsmax, going back and forth. And Anna sent this tweet from Peachy Keenan saying the Democrats' top 4 heroes in America now are a murderer named Luigi with a gun, a murderer named Carmelo with a butcher knife, an MS-13 illegal gang member that, of course, is going to be Kilmer Abrego Garcia. He's the hero of the Washington Post today, too. And a Palestinian Hamas supporter. Isn't that great? Mahmoud Khalil. It's true, they love Mahmoud. They're fighting hammer and sickle, hammer and tongue, tooth and nail to defend and fight for Mahmoud Khalil because they're not on our side. And even their Jews hate the Jews because if you want to be in good with the Democrat Party, sometimes you have to hate yourself and your own family and your heritage and your ethnicity and the state of Israel. But never mind any of that. The Democrat Party, they love Mahmoud Khalil. They love Kilmer Abrego Garcia. They love Luigi Mangione. They love murder, let's face it. And at some point, this organization that has the Democrat Party been responsible behind providing the people to assassinate 3 American presidents. There have only been 4 American presidents assassinated. The 4th was John F. Kennedy by a communist or by the deep state, the permanent bureaucracy. You decide. Isn't that amazing? I've got a lot for you today. The White House Correspondents Association dinner is not this coming Saturday, but the next Saturday. And it looks like the White House now is talking about holding an alternative event, which is kind of fun. And Joe Biden is going to Chicago today, where he's going to give a speech to, I think it's a group for handicapped people, which is somehow appropriate. Joe Biden is going to, and the expectation is that he's going to go there and be a mental case and yell and pound the podium and say Trump is destroying democracy. It's the end of, they love this end of democracy. That means that they're killing democracy. It's the old projection thing, the Russian playbook that the Democrats roll out every day. So we've got lots. Joe Biden back in the news. That's amazing. Conviction in the Rachel Morin murder by a Salvadoran, 3 times deported, walked back in the 4th time because the Democrats opened the border and waved in the criminals and the gang members. The Democrats' heroes are all murderers. I think that tells you just about everything you need to know about the Democrat Party. Party of rioting, the party that gave us the Klan, the Weather Underground, the Symbionese Liberation Army. Now they're firebombing everything, and you got this commie, lefty, anti-capitalist Democrat firebombing the Democrat Jewish governor's mansion in Pennsylvania. And the news media is just leaving out all of the particulars that might not reflect well on the Democrat Party because they're not a legitimate news media. And I have the front page of the Washington Post with me today. They have some interesting twists and turns because they're twisted and they're turned. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. So while the Democrats are firebombing and murdering and importing criminal gang members to date your daughter, they're also attacking President Trump, like Jon Stewart. He does it one night a week, I think, right? One night, Monday nights on The Daily Show. What is that, $25 million a year for one night a week, I think. It's like the Rachel Maddow deal. They're similar in a lot of ways, especially when they're naked. But The Daily Show's Jon Stewart says Donald Trump has all the ingredients to be a top-tier authoritarian, except for ruthless competence. Right, ruthless competence, if he only had that. And they refer to him, Jon Stewart refers to Donald Trump as the dear leader, which is, of course, the title used by the Korean dictator who blows people up like his uncle using anti-aircraft guns. And they're the left, by the way, these communists, Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong-un. They inherit their country from their father and their grandfather, and they're communists. Now, these people don't realize how close they are to being filthy, rotten, stinking communists. It's the kind of people they are. But we have that coming up. Hey, I got an idea. You guys stop firebombing places. Stop shooting and killing people. Stop trying to assassinate your political enemies, the people you don't vote for. And your dog does not hate Elon Musk. I'm here to tell you right now. I'm not an authority on dogs, but I know a thing or two about them. And I know that whoever you are, your dog does not hate Elon Musk, even though you would like it to. Yeah, who do the Democrats love? They love all the wrong people. You think they're going to make a hero out of the Pennsylvania arsonists? They can just ignore that he's anti-capitalist, commie, lefty. They've also got this other guy, another hero, and there was mentioned in the tweet here, Carmelo Anthony, who stabbed and murdered a classmate, a fellow guy in his track team, pulled out a knife and stabbed him, and it was self-defense. He looked at me wrong. I was afraid. And now the Democrats are fighting for Carmelo Anthony, the racist murderer who stabbed and killed Austin Metcalf at a track meet, because who doesn't bring a knife to a track meet? And I got to say, I was talking to, a lot of young people carry pocket knives. Yeah, not at track meets. And you don't pull them out and stab your classmates. So Frisco stabbing suspect Carmelo Anthony released after his bond was lowered to $250,000. Carmelo Anthony had been in custody since April 2nd when he was arrested and accused of killing, that is to say, stabbing to death and murdering, 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet. High school track has gotten a lot more competitive, I guess, these days. Amazing stuff. The Dallas Morning News with the story, Carmelo Anthony, the 17-year-old accused of fatally stabbing another student at a high school track meet in Frisco earlier this month, was released from jail Monday because the Democrats want him loose to kill again after his bond was significantly lowered. Anthony was released from Collin County Jail around 4:20 p.m. and put on house arrest with an ankle monitor. He's crafty. He's got a knife. He could probably get the ankle monitor off. And he's in Texas. Mexico's right there. He could go to join a gang in El Salvador, and then the Democrats would want to run him for public office. After an hours-long hearing at the county courthouse in McKinney on Monday morning, the district judge, Angela Tucker, lowered Anthony's bond from $1 million to $250,000, knowing that he'd then be able to make bond and be released. Anthony's been in custody on a murder charge since April 2nd when he was arrested and accused of killing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at the District 11 5A track meet at Frisco's. Just amazing. Frisco's David, who is it? Kendall Stadium. David Kendall Stadium. And told police he was acting in self-defense. Sure he was. That's what happened. His life was in danger at the track meet, and he couldn't help but stab his classmate in the heart and kill him. While under house arrest, Tucker said that Anthony will only be permitted to leave home with her permission. That's the judge now. Sure, that's namely trips to his attorney's office and meetings in court, and he'll need to be with an adult at all times. Also, not to contact the Metcalf family since he murdered one of them and everything. Just amazing. So the Democrats, there's another guy that they love. Hey, we need to get him, we need to reduce his bail. We need to get him out on bail because it was a racist murder. But this case, the black guy murdered the white guy. So the Democrats, they like that. That's a good one. They think it's revenge for centuries of Democrat treatment of black people or something like that. Pretty amazing stuff. I've got to tell you, your Democrat Party. So the Texas teen accused of fatally stabbing another high schooler at a track meet was released from jail Monday after posting reduced bail, and he will remain on house arrest, allegedly. Isn't that amazing? 17 years old. Try him as an adult? Now we're going to let him go. We're going to do everything we can to let him go. The Democrat Party wants to let him go. Just like they love Luigi Mangione and they want their daughters to date him. They love Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the MS-13 gang member that was deported back to El Salvador. And just like they invited in Victor Martinez Hernandez into the country 4 times so that he could murder a mother of 5, Rachel Morin, who went for a little exercise walk near her home, and she was raped and murdered by an illegal alien gang member from El Salvador, coincidentally. The Democrat Party is responsible for all of this. The Democrat Party loves Mahmoud Khalil, who is here in the United States. He belongs to an organization that, an Islamist, racist, genocidal, death cult organization Mahmoud Khalil belongs to, that wants to wipe out not only the state of Israel and all Jews, but all of Western civilization. And the Democrats are, we need to get him a slot at an Ivy League school and see if he can influence other minds that will be in leadership after not too long. And Cody Balmer, who crept over the fence at the governor's mansion, a Jewish Democrat governor, on Passover, late at night, Passover dinner hours before. And Cody Balmer, who's he's so far left that he not only hates Trump, he hates Joe Biden, and gas prices were too high. And he wanted Kanye West to be president, and he hates capitalism. Did I mention that he hates capitalism? And Cody Ballmer firebombed the governor's mansion with 2 Molotov cocktails, brought a big hammer because he wanted to bash Governor Josh Shapiro's head in with a big hammer. Because this is today's Democrat Party. Make no mistake about it. And Luigi Mangione, who shot and killed a healthcare CEO on the sidewalk of New York, was being praised and adored by Washington Post, New York Times journalist, award-winning journalist Taylor Lorenz. Played that for you yesterday. These people are not on the side of civilization. And they go to Ivy League institutions, and they get jobs at the New York Times, the Washington Post, and they're not on the side of civilization because they're not liberals. They're the left. Boy, are they the left. And nobody murders like the left. The Washington Post today, their lead story, got it at my front door this morning, as is normal. And their lead story is Bukele, that is the president of El Salvador, visiting Trump yesterday. Big meeting in the Oval Office. I'm going to get to that in a moment. Bukele rejects return of Maryland man. When they say Maryland man, they mean an MS-13 gang member. Oh, but he's a father. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think Al Capone was a father. Really, being a father isn't proof of much. It only proves that you can father an offspring. That's all that proves. Bukele rejects return of Maryland man, not MS-13 gang member, because, listen to this, they say, Salvadoran leader visits Oval Office. Trump floats deporting criminal U.S. citizens. Yeah, those are illegal aliens that come into the country. They're here for long enough to get citizenship, and they're still criminals. Can we still deport them even though they're U.S. citizens because they became U.S. citizens even though they weren't originally U.S. citizens? So you have gang members come to the United States. The Democrats give them driver's licenses. They give them their daughters. They give them the shower pass to the junior high school girls' locker room. They give them citizenship, and then it turns out they're still criminals. And can we strip them of their citizenship and still deport them even though they won, I don't want to say earned, U.S. citizenship while in the United States? But here's the Washington Post. Dan Diamond and Cleve R. Wootson Jr., 2 left-wing Democrat radical extremists, posing as journalists at the Washington Post, and they type, Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele said Monday that he does not plan to return a Maryland man. He's a Maryland man, not an MS-13 gang member, whom the Trump administration mistakenly deported to his country as the U.S. judicial system barrels toward a potential constitutional crisis over the standoff. It's a constitutional because the Democrats love murder. They love gang members from B-pole countries, and they're not murdering enough people there. We need to bring a bunch of them here to murder people here, just like we saw in the courtroom yesterday and the murder of Rachel Morin by another Salvadoran gang member, illegal alien, murderer, Victor Martinez Hernandez, who's a hero of the Democrat Party, along with Luigi Mangione, who's a murderer of a healthcare CEO. And they're champions of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who is an illegal alien MS-13 gang member that Trump deported back to his home country, by the way, of El Salvador. And the Democrats really want him back here and want him loose because they make this stuff up over and over again. He does not plan to return the Maryland man. That's how they describe him. The Trump administration mistakenly deported. They say they didn't mistakenly deport him. As the U.S. justice system, the judicial system, barrels toward a potential constitutional crisis over the standoff. Now, that's the Washington Post. They're on the side of crime and criminals and foreign illegal alien gang members. And if your mother was raped and murdered by an illegal alien gang member from El Salvador, then they really don't care. In fact, in this, there is no story in the Washington Post today that I could find. There is no story about the jury that took 46 minutes to convict the murderer, Victor Martinez Hernandez, took 46 minutes of the rape and murder of Rachel Morin, the mother of 5. Not a story in the Post. That's not, You'd think maybe that'd be a front page story, but they do have Abrego Garcia on the front page because he's a hero of the Washington Post. Kilmore. Is that his name, Kilmore? It's Kilmar, but I think it's pronounced Kilmore. Kilmore Abrego Garcia. And CNN and the Democrats, they are champions of this illegal alien Salvadoran gang member who crept into the country 4 times, was kicked out 3 times. The 4th time he came in, he raped and murdered. And the Democrats are like, bravo, you must be oppressed. I think you're oppressed, and we're going to have to throw millions of dollars at you. And, don't deport anybody because we need more illegal alien gang members in the United States. Aren't they amazing? Let's get to audio now because there's a lot of it to get to. I can feel the weight of my cut sheet. It's called a cut sheet. The audio actualities, the sound bites. Amazing stuff. So yesterday in the Oval Office, sound bite number 1, numero uno, as the Democrats like to say, because you remember Barack Obama told us that don't worry about illegal aliens learning to speak English. You should learn to speak Spanish and teach your kids to speak Spanish because the Democrats want your children to be MS-13 gang members, not to just be killed by them, but to become members of MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. Let's not forget the Venezuelan gang. They murder people by the hundreds of thousands, these gangs and cartels. They hang their dead bodies upside down under bridges. And the Democrats want more of that here because you're a racist or something like that. So a reporter in the Oval Office yesterday asking President Trump about the Democrat that firebombed Governor Josh Shapiro's governor's mansion in Pennsylvania yesterday.
Have you attributed a motive through the FBI investigation behind the attack on Governor Josh Shapiro over the weekend?
No, I haven't, but the attacker was not a fan of Trump, I understand, just from what I read and from what I've been told. The attacker basically wasn't a fan of anybody. It's probably just a whack job. And certainly a thing like that cannot be allowed to happen.
Can't be allowed to happen, what the firebombing the governor's mansion, arson attack, Molotov cocktails, though the Democrats have brought back from the dead, going back to the Bolsheviks, the Molotov cocktail, but never mind that. So I was reading to you yesterday about his social media post, the killer's name, the firebomber, rather, Cody Ballmer, hater of capitalism online, hated Trump. So far left, he hated Joe Biden. He wanted Kanye West for president. And the news media is going to leave all of that out because they just want to say, and this is what they're doing. They're saying he hated Joe Biden. Oh, no, he must be a Trump guy. See, by deductive reasoning, you might falsely and incorrectly conclude, based on the miscues that you've been given by CNN and the Washington Post, that means he's a Trump supporter. So Trump has to first and foremost say he is not a Trump guy. He's no fan of the Trump administration. Isn't that amazing? These guys. So I did mention that Joe Biden is going to Chicago today. He might already be there. Got to get there early with him. He might have to nap for a long time. But he's got a speech today. Joe Biden came up in the Oval Office yesterday, too, because he was such a terrible president.
What he did to our country is just unbelievable. So we're straightening it out. We're getting him out. But what they did and what that party did to our country, open borders, anybody could come in. As soon as I heard that, I said, every prison's going to be emptied out into our country. That's what happened. And we're straightening it out. What they've done to us at the border should never and can never be forgotten. It's a sin, what they did. And you are helping us out. And we appreciate it.
He's talking to the president of El Salvador. You are helping us out. I got to say, he looks like a pretty tough guy, the president of El Salvador. He stands his ground. He's, you can tell he's a fighter. Amazing episodes in the Oval Office yesterday with the press. A great moment with CNN when President Trump said, well, CNN, talking to the president of El Salvador, well, CNN, doesn't like our country. They hate our country. And this turned CNN on its ear yesterday. They had to come out and repeatedly claim CNN does not hate America, which is never the position you want to be in. as a news organization or not, but it's great stuff. That's coming up. We're at 888-630-9625. Looking into this John Brennan story today. Tucker Carlson interview. And again, it doesn't look very good for now former CIA director and Communist Party voter John Brennan, close personal friend of Barack Obama's. Of course, they're not really personal friends. He just found a fellow traveler, another Communist Party supporter. Barack Obama did in John Brennan, who voted for Gus Hall, the Communist Party candidate for President of the United States, and he made him CIA director. And now claim is being made by members of Congress and former members of Congress that it was John Brennan, Barack Obama's CIA director, Bill Clinton's intelligence briefer, John Brennan, that facilitated visas to the United States for the majority of the hijackers on September 11th, 2001, that got us into the war without end against radical Islam, because the Democrats are really not on our side. They're not even close to being on our side. So we've got that going on. Now, Columbia University, they're still anti-Semites, and they still have protests, and it's all kinds of madness going on, and it all traces back to the Democratic Party. It really does. But the leader of Columbia University's protest arrested at his citizenship interview. And now he's being deported out of the United States of America. I've got that coming up because we're going to need some splaining on that. But the Democrats, they want, if you're a genocidal anti-Semite and you support jihad against Western civilization, then the Democrats really want to see more of you in the United States, especially on Ivy League campuses and other college campuses. These people, stop firebombing things. Stop shooting people, Democrats, you crazy people. But it is Democrat History Month. This April is, and every April is Democrat History Month. All the deeds they perpetrated in April.